In Uganda, my name is Philomena Mastiko, and I am with Mollen, Kenyena, and Robert Kirabo. Of course, still, we are going to be talking about the late Jacob Oulanyah today, still dissecting into some of the things that he did leave us to enjoy as a country, some which you clearly may not be in the know of, but some that are still pending. Obviously, we'll be getting through all that as Good Morning Uganda goes on. Well, we are coming to you live from UBC TV, definitely. And again, we'll be bringing you all the details, all the new developments that will be unfolding regarding this matter. Well, good morning, Robert.
Good morning, Philo, and of course, our lovely viewers. Thank you so much for waking up with us this morning. One thing, Philo, that life has told me is we live and die.
Absolutely.
At one time, there will be no more you. At one time, there will be no more me. But what happens is the legacy that we leave behind.
Yes.
What will people talk about you? What will people remember of you? Will they say a life well spent with dignity, with honesty? Will you go down with no funny record? Will they feel grieved? Will they feel the pain? Or will there be rejoicing at the bottom of their hearts despite the looks or the eyes showing different? So when we talk about the life of Jacob Oulanyah, I've been trying to analyze this life in all aspects. And one thing that came to my mind was a life well lived,
yes,
a life well spent, a life well enjoyed. And I think, to me, any Ugandan will look at this man, a man whom we never saw in any corruption scandal. You know?
Yes.
There are many that have gotten to those places, but their life has been full of scandals, corruption scandals, you know, taking money for the unprivileged, for the vulnerable people. And that is what we can talk about them. But we talk about him as a man who always asked, what does the law say? A man who loved his God, a man who had a career, a man of respect, dignity, a man who was so humorous, a man who was full of life and really enjoyed life. And to me, what more would I love to be said about me when I'm 6 feet down the ground? So I say, a life was spent. Jacob Oulanyah.
Well, I will tell you, Robert, that the biggest percentage of Ugandans actually share the same sentiments about the late. Very down to earth, very charismatic, and of course, very, very close to the people, a man of the people, we call him. Good morning, Mollen.
Well, a very good morning to you, Philo, but it is also still obvious that we are mourning the death of late Speaker, and I can say one thing for sure: he has had a life that has been inspiring. And just this morning we were talking about his involvement in the Bikers Association of Uganda. He wasn't just, you know, this politician who goes about politics, but he had that close, you know, relation with his friends, with, you know, some of these bikers, and I think that has left a good legacy. And I was listening to some of the sportsmen that were talking about him also with his involvement with them. Yes. And I'm like, yeah, this is the man that we're really going to miss. And I know the president is really saddened up until now. Yesterday he did, you know, direct for the flags to be flown at half-mast according to, you know, the various procedure. But I'm like, this is an honor, like, for the country to be able to accord him that kind of, you know, burial, but also for us to sit down and reflect on what he has done for the country. Obviously, he's leaving a legacy that we do hope that whoever takes on as Speaker will be able, you know, to keep it up to that standard. Because right now we're looking at, you know, having a new Speaker by Friday. Yes. So that means that also the country is going to be looking into all these names that have been put forward. Who can really fit in those shoes? Those are big shoes to fill, Philo.
Well, very, very big shoes, I will tell you. But in regards to the burial arrangements, actually, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, using his official Twitter page, he actually said that he activated the National Organizing Committee under Honorable Babalanda to organize the official burial of the late Speaker. And he assured Ugandans that they clearly know what they'll be doing. But quite another interesting thing that Mollen, you did talk about, we are now looking at the run for the new speakership. Now, Now, we clearly know that there is no business that can run in Parliament without the head of the legislature, and of course that is the Speaker of Parliament. Clearly, we have been seeing very many people wondering, questions are moving around, who will be the next Speaker of Parliament? Now, the President did designate Friday to be the day when the new Speaker of Parliament will be elected. Well, what do you think about the rest that is, I mean, people are supposed to, whoever legislator is intending to run for this position definitely should be expressing their interest. What do you think about this race, Robert? You know, we're having a conversation behind the camera, and you have quite some.
Of course, we know.
Yes.
It's like a camel going through the eye of a needle for an opposition legislator to be a speaker. You know, with multi-party dispensation. So they could compete, but it is hard. It can't rain soda, if I may say that. So it just goes to NRM.
Yes.
It is NRM, their choice, that will determine who will be the next Speaker of Parliament. And of course, according to our laws, any member of Parliament qualifies to be a speaker according to our laws. It's not how long you've spent in Parliament.
Yes.
As long as you're a member of the current 11th Parliament, you qualify, except when you're a minister. So right from the current deputy speaker, going down to anybody, you can pick forms and show your interest. Now it will be the process of the NRM. You know, they have the SEC, they have the NEC, then they have the caucus to come up and say, okay, this is the person.
Yes.
And over, history has had it that the NRM favors takes the day. If you remember the hot contest between Rebecca Kadaga and Jacob Oulanyah, when NRM said this is ours and this is what we want, despite all of them having been leaders, actually, even on SEC, you would find that the person that NRM finds loving and faithful and of course loyal to them at that particular time takes that day. So to me, if you're looking anywhere, don't waste time in opposition. Those can be bridesmaids, they can be best man, but if you're looking who's the next speaker?
No, I do think that actually Honorable Anita Among has done a commendable job while she was sitting in for the speaker, and for that I actually would forward her name if I were to be among the people voting.
This is the current Deputy Speaker of Parliament, and
she has been doing
quite a good job.
Yeah. So obviously that seat actually needs someone to prepare. But you also look at the likes of Tayebwa. You do remember even when the speakership race was on, this is a guy who they had to sit down and agree that, like, you know what, sit this down as Deputy Speaker, and he had to be that loyal cadre. But now if he comes forth to be the Speaker, I think he would have support as well. But also it is interesting how most of the people that are vowing for this seat, you look at people like Honorable Katuntu. I'm telling you, they are all key figures who have been there and are capable of actually being speakers for this Parliament. But at the same time, you also look into the fact that they are going to have to lean into the NRM, like Robert was putting it, because we have seen history take that same course. So now I'm thinking if NRM really supports Anita Among, she might be looked at as the prominent candidate to take on the speakership race. However, not to mention that there are also these other figures that could take the same seat. So it will be interesting to see how Friday really turns out.
Well, we're yet to see where this will go, but I think for now, well, we'll have to actually first make sure that, at least the current Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, is put to rest. And of course, for all these arrangements to go on and everything, definitely we still have to have a speaker. So we're yet to find out who that will definitely be, and then we can progress from there, as always.
We are back at it. That is what we can say. We are back at it, and it's going to be a very interesting journey developing or finding out who the new speaker will be. And the deputy, because in case Anita Amongi steps down, that means it's not only to be the election of a speaker, it has also to be the election of the deputy speaker as well. So, for last newsmen,
even these other ministers actually will have to resign fast before they can go for the race. So it's interesting how many people.
We wait to see how many will show interest.
We are yet to see. Anyway, it's also time we take a look at some of the stories that did make it to the newsroom last evening, and that is both locally and internationally.
And we'll begin with declaring the seat of Speaker vacant by Cabinet where Cabinet declared the position of the Speaker of Parliament vacant following the death of Right Honorable Jacob Oulanyah. The Minister for ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, briefed the media at Media Center, said the Cabinet resolution on the arrangement for the send-off of the departed Speaker is in progress. The Constitution of Uganda, Article 82, Clause 4 states that, subject to Article 81(4) of the Constitution, no business shall be transacted at Parliament other than an election of the Speaker if this office turns vacant at any time. Cabinet declared the position of the Speaker of Parliament vacant, and the Minister for ICT and National Guidance told journalists that their plans are now underway to come up with a new Speaker. Baryomunsi said Cabinet has resolved that Parliament shall convene on Friday, 25th of March this week to fill the vacancy of the Speaker, hence calling upon all those political parties to start the process. Burial arrangements of the Speaker shall begin soon as the body arrives in the country, and the National Organization Committee shall communicate the program to the public once it's set. The minister also clarified on allegations that the fallen Speaker was poisoned and advised Ugandans to wait for the doctor's post-mortem report.
We'll move over to the NRM Secretariat, where the Secretary General of the ruling party, NRM, Richard Tadwong, has alerted all party members in Parliament to express interest for the position of Speakership of the 11th Parliament, which fell vacant after the demise of the Speaker, the late Jacob Oulanyah. Tadwong has notified all members that the party will, in the due course, convene to lay down modalities for the flagship process, as voting for the Speaker is tentatively scheduled for Friday this week. Now, finally, the debate on when the position of the Speaker of the 11th Parliament will be filled seems to be freezing as plans continue being unveiled. The NRM Secretary General Richard Tadwong has addressed UBC on the process and now alerts all members to start expressing their interest starting this Tuesday. According to the party and government, the whole House of Parliament will convene this Friday to elect the Speaker, a position the ruling NRM is convinced will have to secure using its numerical strength in Parliament.
Relatedly, on filling the position of the departed Speaker, currently several legislators are bracing up for the election. Several meetings have been held at Parliament, and available information shows that the election of the Speaker will be conducted on Friday this week. As the country waits the return of the body of Speaker Jacob Oulanyah, business at Parliament is on hold owing to Article 82 of the Constitution, where Parliament cannot conduct any business unless this position has been filled. This means that until a new Speaker is elected, there will not be any business in Parliament. Some MPs have showed interest for the position of Speaker. It is not clear whether the Deputy Speaker and Nita Amongi will contest. Article 81 states that the Chief Justice or a judge designated by the Chief Justice shall preside over the election of the Speaker. This means also that the ruling NRM party, which has majority members in the House, will select a successor to the deceased. Available information shows that the NRM party has set Tuesday 22nd as the date for expression of interest for position of Speaker. Then Wednesday, the Electoral Commission will meet, and on Thursday, NRM Parliamentary Caucus will convene. On Friday, elections of the Speaker will be conducted. These are some of the MPs that have already shown interest. These include, on the other hand, members from the Acholi Parliamentary Forum, who will also have shown interest to show someone who might represent them. However, this we still wait to see.
Now, relatedly, the Uganda Law Society and Legal Fraternity has mourned the death of Speaker of Parliament Jacob Oulanyah, who passed away in Seattle State, USA. Now, the President Uganda Law Society, Philomena applauded the late Jacob Oulanyah's contribution towards Uganda Law Society. The Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah, also Speaker of Parliament, the late Jacob Oulanyah, was also a professional lawyer in making. Jacob Oulanyah, an experienced and professional lawyer who rendered legal services through Oulanyah and Company Advocates law firm. Fiona Nabasa notes that she recalls fallen Speaker as a pillar to Uganda law society. Now, Speaker Oulanyah was a friend and a leader, a person who embraced the rule of law and a role model to everyone, especially the young lawyers. The death of the Speaker, Jacob Oulanyah, has affected lawyers in the legal fraternity, and being that he was a lecturer at the Law Development Center, who also left a legacy in what was looked at as Development Center highlights.
That is still coming in from the Russia-Ukraine war, and that is, of course, U.S. President Joe Biden saying that Russian President Vladimir Putin is weighing use of chemical weapons in Ukraine. And the Pentagon says it will help gather evidence of war crimes in Ukraine, accusing Russian forces of indiscriminate attacks. All Chernobyl staff who wanted to leave the site have been rotated out, the UN's nuclear watchdog says. And more than 8,000 people were evacuated from Ukrainian cities and towns through humanitarian corridors on Monday, according to officials. And a new curfew is in effect in Kyiv, lasting until Wednesday morning, after the mayor had warned that more Russian shelling of the Ukrainian capital was likely. And Russia summons the U.S. ambassador over Biden's recent comments, labeling Putin a war criminal. And U.S. Ambassador John Sullivan has urged Moscow to follow international law and to allow consular access to American citizens detained in Russia. Moving on, a China Eastern Airlines passenger plane carrying 132 people has crashed in southern China shortly after losing contact with air traffic control and dropping thousands of meters in under 3 minutes. There was no immediate confirmation of the number of casualties, but the disaster prompted an unusually swift public reaction from President Xi Jinping, who said he was shocked and ordered an immediate investigation into the cause of the crash. China Eastern expresses its deep condolences for the passengers and crew members who died in the plane crash. The airline said in a filing with the Shanghai Stock Exchange. There was no word on the cause of the crash. State broadcaster CCTV said it caused a mountain fire, which was later extinguished. China Eastern flight MU5735 from the city of Kunming to the southern hub of Guangzhou lost airborne contact over Wuzhou in the Guangxi region on Monday afternoon, according to the Civil Aviation Administration of China. And to the Congo premises, 14 people, including 7 children, have been killed with machetes in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the Red Cross has said, as a community leader blamed a notorious armed group for the bloody attack. The attack took place in a displaced people's camp in the country's northwestern Ituri province on Saturday, the humanitarian aid group reported. Among the victims were 5 women aged between 25 and 32 and a 2-year-old girl, according to a list shown by the Red Cross to the news agency AFP. Now, Jinziba Banju, a community leader in Ituri's Jugu area, said the perpetrators belonged to the CODOCO armed group, which has been blamed for a string of ethnic massacres in the area. Now, Kodeko militiamen entered Drapa and started to cut people with machetes. They did not fire shots in order to operate calmly, Banju told AFP on Sunday. The victims are displaced people who had fled Ngoshi village to set up in Drapa, he said, adding that 5 others were wounded. Gold-rich Ituri province has been plunged back into a cycle of violence since late 2017 with the rise of Kodeko, which has since split into rival factions. The group is a political religious sect that claims to represent the interests of the Lendu ethnic group.
The weather and climate news, the UN Secretary General says that the rush to use fossil fuels because of the war in Ukraine is madness and threatens global climate targets. Now, the invasion of Ukraine has set rapid rises in prices of coal, oil and gas as countries scramble to replace Russian sources. But Antonio Guterres warns that these short-term measures might close the window on the Paris climate goals, and he calls on countries, including China, to fully phase out coal by 2040. In his first major speech on climate and energy since COP26, Mr. Guterres makes no bones about the fact that the limited progress achieved in Glasgow is insufficient to ward off dangerous climate change. Guterres also says that the rush to find alternatives to the Russian fuel is a threat to climate goals. And scientists also believe that keeping the rise in global temperatures under 1.5 degrees Celsius this century is crucial to limiting the scale of damage from global warming. Now, to keep that threshold alive, carbon output needs to be cut into half by the end of this decade. Instead, as Mr. Guterres points out, emissions are set to rise by 14%. Now, the problem was not solved in Glasgow, Mr. Guterres says in a speech delivered at Economist Sustainable Summit.
Well, it's also about the time when we get to hear from Robert to, give us some news that could probably bring some vibrance on our faces as early as this morning.
If there is anything that any human being must prioritize is health, because we know health is what we all need. Actually, one of the most expensive things of late is treatment. But at times, prevention has always proved to be more and better than cure. So what you need to do is empower your body to fight off a number of diseases. These are not treatment of anything, but what they do is they boost your immune system. So at just 1,500, go and get this tamarind juice and also go for the ginger tea. These will greatly boost your immune system and enable your body fight off a number of diseases.
Oh, well, as Good Morning Uganda definitely goes on, we'll be giving you more details, more updates, especially concerning the burial of the late Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah. When is it going to happen? How is it going to happen? The processions, everything we'll definitely be giving you right here on UBC TV. Well, it's also about the time when we go in to listen to the song of the day, the inspiration, where we're going to be drawing our inspiration from on this Tuesday morning. And when we get back, of course, it will be the Good Morning Uganda newsreel, and we'll be still talking more about the life of the late, celebrating him, his successes, his challenges, everything. We'll definitely be putting on the table for remembrance, just to take you back to when he was still doing what he loved to do. And of course, later on, we'll also be taking you to the roads to see the situation, the traffic situation, and the weather forecast will also be coming in much later. Not forgetting the GMU agenda and more sports updates, and of course we'll be having the GMU extra match later on. Good Morning Uganda returns right after this.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Live.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
how to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
everywhere you go. MTN.
Are your children ready to learn? Schools are open. As parents and guardians, it is your duty to ensure that your children go back to school. COVID-19 prevention measures have been put in place to keep students safe as they go back to school. Not only do teachers prioritize everyone's health, including their own, but they discourage violence among students. They also ensure that students follow SOPs. Any concerns are reported to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Dear parents and guardians, you too must play your role. Ensure your children always maintain a 2-meter distance from others, avoid crowded places, regularly wash their hands with soap and water, and wear a washed and clean face mask that covers their mouths and noses. Please keep your children at home if they're feeling sick, and take note. In our effort to keep students safe, there are no visitation days or any other school visits allowed. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Select option 2, school pay. Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win. Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check another crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts, and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi, for the love of it.
Four minutes after the hour of 7 a.m., you're watching Good Morning Uganda right here on UBC TV. Welcome to the newsreel. My name is Philomena Mastiko, and of course, I am joined by Kirabo Robert. We are still celebrating, but also we are still mourning the late Jacob Oulanyah, the Speaker of the 11th Parliament, who did pass on Sunday at 10:30. Of course, the information was passed on by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, and after that, things haven't been the same. Quite a whole lot of changes are actually coming to light, and preparations are also still underway regarding the moment until he's finally laid to rest. Now, of course, the late did pass on in Seattle, Washington, USA, where he was trying to undergo treatment or trying to stabilize before he started treatment to make sure that he stabilized. But, well, I can say that we loved him, but God loved him more. Well, Robert, of course, much later on, we'll be joined by Honorable Anthony Akol, who will be actually giving us quite a whole lot more concerning this great man. Probably some of the things that we didn't know, probably some of the things that came to light, or even probably some of the things that we probably took lightly, but they actually had an impact, especially for the shortest time that he was in Parliament. Now, before we get into all that conversation, I just want to let you know that our poll question is still running, and that is, what do you remember about the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah? The hashtag is UBCGMU, and the WhatsApp number is 0709 602 592. We'll definitely be sharing some of these, condolence messages to the rest of the world. Now, Robert, we're still talking about this great man. What are some of the things that you would really come to mind, before we put him to final rest?
Well, first, just throw more light about the guest we are expecting. That is Honorable Anthony Akol, who happens to be the chairperson of the Acholi Parliamentary a group that brings together all members of parliament that are from the Acholi region. And of course, Jacob Oulanyah, the late, was a member of parliament first before becoming deputy and then finally speaker. So this is a brother that has been bringing them together, and on several occasions they have had so much to say regarding this. Well, talking about the Speaker of Parliament, Philo, there's so much that has been said and there's so much that we can't say. But one thing for me as a Christian, first, he has been a God-fearing man. He's been active. You know, many politicians, religion or faith is not something that they cherish so much. They would just go for showbiz campaigns, but Oulanyah would even get involved one time, participated in worshiping, leading praise and worship. And I was like, okay, Sir Deputy Speaker, he has been a man of integrity. I'll never forget the words he said. I don't think any politician would have said those words at Kolo ceremonial ground.
Yes.
When he said, "Who hasn't sinned, let him be the first to cast the stone." And he said, "Your Excellency, all of us have sinned. All of us here are corrupt. We are here for camera purposes, but we are going to go back and do the same things we've been doing."
Yes.
A person of his stature, very few can make such a bold statement. He has been a person who loved his people. This is a man who saw his region being torn by nodding disease and pushed for a supplementary budget.
Yes.
1.3 billion to support these families. He has been a man full of life for us under the Uganda Bikers Association and Central Riders Association. This is a man who has funded, who has supported, who has given all it takes for colleagues there.
Yes.
Even when it meant some going for these charity for charity tours and all that. And that is why we are humbly asking government, through our president, that is Madame Angela of Uganda Bikers Association, that we beg that as they are picking his casket from the airport, that these bikes be part of the procession.
Yes.
Because this is something he loved so much, he cherished so much, and we are asking, and if they tell us to go up to Lida, those huge machines will go and will lead the casket, because in respect to one of the greatest pillars in our fraternity.
Yes.
We beg that, and I hope government will see that through. But then when going back to, because now what most Ugandans are excited or want to know is how the burial is going to be conducted according to the law.
Yes.
Yes, we cannot say this is when the body is coming. We don't have authority of that because there's a committee that has been set up and has to communicate. But there's what the law stipulates.
Yes.
That when we lose a deputy speaker, when we lose a speaker, this is what is supposed to be done. And this is what we want to look through according to our constitution.
Yes.
One, and of course, that is section 16, part D of the Parliamentary Pensions Act states that a public holiday shall be declared on the day of burial in accordance with the Public Holidays Act. So that is one thing, that on the day we are going to bury Jacob Oulanyah, it has to be a public holiday.
Yes.
According to the laws of Uganda. It states that according to the same law, a person who dies while holding the office of the deputy speaker or speaker shall be accorded a state funeral. And we know what entails in a state funeral. We can look at some of that. Then the law goes further to stipulate that 30% of the gross salary of a speaker or deputy shall be used towards burial expense.
Yes.
Now here I've had some Ugandans being confused. And I think there is no need for confusion. They think that it is his salary that they are going to use.
Yes.
No, the law says 30% of the gross of a speaker or deputy's salary shall be used towards burial expenses. Now, gross of one salary is before they deduct tax,
the taxation and all that, yes.
NSSF, if you qualify for that, all these other taxes. So if your appointment letter, for example, says you get 1.5, so 30% of that 1.5 is what they are going to use. Note that if Jacob Oulanyah had some salary of this month or of the other month, that they are going to use that money. No.
Yes.
And when we do simple calculation, one will tell that the speaker is the highest earning member of parliament. And if we calculate about that, you find that a month he earns around 40 million. So when we look for that and you go for the gross over a period, you might find that maybe about, you calculate about 480 million. Now go to 30% of that, it will give you about something close to about 130 million that has to go into that area of, Then also the law is clear. It says that government shall declare a period of mourning. And I think His Excellency did that.
Oh yes,
flags are flying at half-mast.
They're flying at half-mast until the man is finally put to rest.
So we are in a period of mourning. Still, the law says national flags shall be flown at half-mast during the mourning period. The casket shall be dropped into that is the national flag. You know, when like the clothes they put.
Yes,
so,
it's a draping. They actually drape the casket in the national flag, which is actually done for the high dignitaries.
So then, the casket shall be carried by ceremonial uniform pallbearers from the Uganda Police Force, and the body shall lie in state for 1 day for public viewing. So this is what we should expect that has to be done according. Then a condolence book shall be opened for signing by political leaders. This happens, an official guard shall keep vigil, and bright lights shall light the casket throughout the night. Parliament shall pay tribute to the Speaker. Then also the funeral service shall be held in honor of the late Speaker or Deputy Speaker in a place of worship, or a place designated by Cabinet. The casket shall be transported to the burial place by hearse, and a burial therefore shall have 17 gun salutes.
Wow. All this is actually supposed to be, we should be expecting this as Ugandans, definitely. And well, we will.
But also there is something which I skipped deliberately.
Yes.
You know that even the national radio, according to the law, is directed during this period the type of music they should be playing.
Yes. Oh, indeed, it is. One would actually wonder what kind of what kind of music they would be playing.
Yes.
I mean, what would you be expecting?
So,
what kind of
yes,
music?
it is within the
what
law.
music should we be looking at as you guys? What should we be expecting from this national radio?
Well, the term used in English describes it like not music of excitement.
Oh.
Music that portrays a mourning environment.
Yes.
So this part after party should not have airplay on national radios.
Yes.
There are some also should be maybe Christian music playing at such a time, music maybe the likes of these hymns, people that have composed songs that indicate we are in a mourning mood.
Exactly, music that really portrays the prevailing situation, because I don't think it would be morally right for indeed national radios
and TV
to
as well,
that,
because
TV
though the law
kind
talks
of
about
music.
only radio,
Yes.
but I think even TV at such a time, throughout this morning period, according to the law, the music we must play should be predicting that mood at such a time.
Oh well, we are also seeing quite a number of other dignitaries send through their condolences. Robert, we have seen also the opposition members suspend their duties. I will actually talk about FDC that did come out to suspend their activities, especially in the northern part of Uganda, to be able to grieve the late Speaker Jacob Oulanyah. But we've also seen several members of parliament and several other people in the country send through their condolences, you know, because really what we have lost is something I could say probably irreplaceable. Even when we get the next speaker, yes, they may be their own stature, but I could also say Jacob Oulanyah was a man of his own distinction, somebody you cannot relate to anybody
the man with
else.
a bow tie.
He has set quite a high standard for the next speaker to, you know, to be able to meet these standards. And like you said, there is something about him and the bow tie. He really had a chemistry. Every time you would see Oulanyah, definitely you'd be expecting a sort of a bow tie, very distinctive. You would know this is the man. This is the Speaker of Parliament of Uganda, Jacob Oulanyah. Very smart physically in the head, but also very, very, very good at keeping time. Actually, Ugandans now call him the timekeeper. And we clearly know that that is quite a discipline that the biggest sector of Ugandans have failed to catch up with.
Let me tell you, Philo, over a time I've observed, and I think it's a culture, and some think it shows, some think it is what a person in a high office must do.
Yes.
When you go to most of these functions as journalists, the chief guest arrives last, sometimes late,
most times very late.
Very
Let's
late.
actually be very specific.
And we've come to terms with it.
Yes.
And all the time I was like, we miss the likes of Samson Chiseka. I was told the late Vice President, Dr. Samson Chiseka, was a good timekeeper.
Yes.
I didn't see that. At least I had an opportunity for Honorable Sibambi, Professor Sibambi, the late Prime Minister. I remember there was a function one time at Serena where he came and the organizers were still said, media, where are you? Let me read out my statement.
Yes.
And off he went. About 3 times. So we needed, the other person has been Jacob Oulanyah.
Yes.
This culture of thinking, because I'm the chief guest, they'll wait for me. Definitely they will wait for you. Then you come late, we are still expecting our guest. We are still expecting our guest. Then when you come, you just give excuses. I've been on official duty. We have so many number of things to do. But finally I'm here and we clap. We are excited. When it comes to members of parliament, timekeeping. Oh, we've missed a man. Maybe. Because he always talked about a parliament of dignity. A parliament that keeps time. Many will tell you that if you know that sitting is going to be chaired by Oulanyah, you have to hurry. Otherwise, you'd find when he has already started. So maybe he would have calculated over a time mannerism of keeping time among members of parliament, because many of them are doing badly. Invite them for all these functions, anything. Members of parliament to be the last to come, but first to leave.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They are the last to come,
and they're the first to
leave.
They're the first so basically the time that they are giving out whatever they are attending is very, very minimal.
Because they have a lot of things.
Somebody would question, why are you even appearing if I mean, you're going to give us about 15 minutes or 30 minutes, which actually takes me back to a certain statement that I can clearly remember it very well. But what he was trying to insinuate, and I'm talking about the late Jacob Oulanyah, is like, if I had known, he was given an address outside, he was in one of the European countries, and he was actually saying, if I had known that I was going to be addressing for about 3 or 5 minutes for this small amount of time, probably I would have denied it, because sometimes you just need to prepare accordingly and make your communication with a lot of time. So clearly,
but also I think because the Oulanyah I knew a bit of in my profession was a man who loved research.
Yes.
You know, even when he was deliberating on many of these functions where he would be called upon, you'd see him, you know, when a person does research, they're either reading from something there, you see there is something they have.
Yes.
Jacob Oulanyah, all times you would say, this is a man who not only rely on his knowledge, like I know it all, but would have something to show that he did research. And I remember even his maiden speech as speaker, he said, we want a parliament where members of parliament do research. He said, we want our answer to be used for research purposes.
Yes.
For study purposes. Because the members of parliament will have carried out research. Today, some of the problems we have in our house is because members of parliament do not research. Any can talk on anything, you know.
Yes.
You find we are handling things of viruses, we're handling things of, and you find someone with no background, no research, no nothing, just comes up and says in a message, these are genetic things, so he talks nonsense, and you're like, so Oulanyah had a dream that maybe in his 5 or 10 years, he will transform parliament to some level where we see people speak basing on research. People can say, this I will not tamper with because I'm not an expatriate in that area, but we have members of parliament. Anything that happens, find them on the steps of parliament, have a microphone, Honorable Chinochogera Coach, and they will be speaking.
Oh, well, we are going for a short break, but when we get back, of course, we are going to be joined by Honorable Anthony Akol, who will be talking more about the life of the late fallen soldier, and that is Jacob Oulanyah. Good morning, Uganda. We'll be back shortly.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win. Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check another crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi, for the love of it.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Select option 2, school pay. Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back-to-school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Are your children ready to learn? Schools are open. As parents and guardians, it is your duty to ensure that your children go back to school. COVID-19 prevention measures have been put in place to keep students safe as they go back to school. Not only do teachers prioritize everyone's health, including their own, but they discourage violence among students. They also ensure that students follow SOPs. Any concerns are reported to a school administrator or senior woman or man teacher for correction and further guidance. Dear parents and guardians, you too must play your role. Ensure your children always maintain a 2-meter distance from others, avoid crowded places, regularly wash their hands with soap and water, and wear a washed and clean face mask that covers their mouths and noses. Please keep your children at home if they're feeling sick, and take note. In our effort to keep students safe, there are no visitation days or any other school visits allowed. Let's share knowledge, not COVID-19. This message is supported by the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education and Sports, and UNICEF. Stay safe.
Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Pick of the day on UBC.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite show.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
This is how we play. Play with power.
This is how we do it.
How we put a team together. This is how we pass on greatness. Because with this team to inspire us, there's nothing we can't do.
Go for goals and win. Buy a Pepsi glass bottle or Pepsi Max 330 ml. Check another crown and win soda, TVs, caps, t-shirts, and cash. Redeem prizes at any Pepsi depot or truck countrywide. Terms and conditions apply.
Pepsi, for the love of it.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial star 185 hash. Select option 6, school fees. Select option 2, school pay. Select option 1, pay fees. Enter student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Beat the back to school hustle today. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field couldn't be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
Good morning, Uganda. Welcome to the Press Review, where we take a look at some of the big headlines in our papers. That is, of course, Daily Monitor, The New Vision, and, of course, the Daily Nation. This morning, starting off the Daily Monitor, the big headline over there, MPs question Oulanyah death. Of course, the Acholi Parliamentary Group yesterday was raising the ante in demanding to know what killed Jacob Oulanyah, as government, of course, promised to make public the post-mortem report soon. Now, all the details are in the paper, and we're also looking at how government skipped near Europe hospitals and opted for America. And there is quite a map out there showing the countries and probably where he could have been taken. And also in other stories, we look at Among joins race to replace Oulanyah, and Speaker's dream that never was, and of course the man that loved his rights as he loved the dance floor. Quite a man full of life. And also there are several tenders for you out there in the paper, and also looking at the Prosper pullout out of work and agro-processing counter joblessness. And the lizard is also over there asking, will those ones still mourn as well? Now this is the battle to replace Oulanyah kicking off, the people contesting to take over his position. Will they be mourning? Well, we are yet to find out. Now also news, don't stampede our offices over passports coming in from the ministry, and also highlights of the plane that was carrying about 132 passengers that crashed in China. Onto the second page, of course, who was Speaker Oulanyah away from work, looking at a detailed life of the late Speaker. Now onto the New Vision.
Well, in the New Vision for today, there's also a headline there that shows how Museveni orders flags to fly at half-mast. Now there is much more in that story on page 8 of the New Vision for today. Who will replace Speaker Oulanyah? Now they have given you a few names right there. Will it be Theodore Sechikubo, Anita Among, Abdu Katuntu, Jacob Oboth, and many more of those you will be seeing in today's paper of the New Vision. Now, Museveni also calls NRM MP's election is due Friday this week. That is also one to look out for. Schools have been warned against giving learners herbs as you know, there is a warning for influenza, and that is also in the new vision for today. Also about oil and gas, Uganda produced the first oil in 2025, the long awaited for oil. That will be right there. You can head over to page 10 where you'll be getting details on that story. Poverty levels, 32% of Ugandan youth living in poverty, as the report shows, and that story is right there on page 3 of the new vision for today. But also heading over to page 2 of the paper, NSSF anxious savers demand explanation on the delay in payments. Now that is after the long-awaited for midterm access of the NSSF. There is much more to the story, and you can get that in today's paper of the new vision. But also in the next page, they are showing you vocational students number growing by 700% in 10 years. And that is good news right over there. And also today in history, the March 2010, the day of mourning starts over Kasubi tombs. That is also one to look out for. But also the first World Water Day celebrated, and that is on in 1992 as the UN General Assembly adopted a resolution. Also remembering that today is the World Water Day.
And in the Daily Monitor Sports this morning, Nemo Stars team to beat in playoffs, and also Rivals Express Villa clash. Of course, they are fighting for their only chance of a silverware this season in the Cup last 16. And taking a look at the Classico, demolition casts doubt on Real Madrid. Now for the soccer fans, definitely this one is for you. Quite a thrashing. Real will change Barcelona. Now this was from Xavi. Of course, the weekend results over there from the English Championship, and also the top scorer from Mitrovic from Fulham. And of course, looking at last days for Express SC Villa. All this in the Daily Monitor for this Tuesday morning.
Well, and in the New Vision Sport right there, world bronze for Uganda. Now Halima Nakai is a class apart, and they show you more of the details across the World Athletics Indo Championship for 2022, where Halima has brought back a world bronze for Uganda. Now there is much more to the story, but also in the Stanbic Uganda Cup for today, they are showing you highlights of the game between the Express FC versus SC Villa encounter. Now there has been a lot of rivalry there. This is a much anticipated for game, and you can have details right there in the New Vision Sport. But also on the next page, taking the bull by the horn, they show you some of the rankings with the Larry, and also some of the players that have made it on that list right there in the New Vision Sport. Now Chemtai eyeing more wins, that is as we look at Olympics 3,000 meter chase for championship for the champion Perth Chemtai, and that is a lot more expected from her, explained in the New Vision Sport for today.
Oh, well, by the way, all those games will be running live on UBC. That is the Stanbic Uganda Cup, where we'll be having the Express and Villa. They'll be running on UBC TV, so make sure that you catch all these games live. Well, getting back to the poll question this morning, what do you remember about the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah? Definitely we'll be getting into the feedback later on. But also taking a look at the Daily Nation, rain or shine, why the Mets predictions are often way off the mark. And also KCSE student arrested in taxi, of course, the driver murder investigation. And also taking at the decision 2022, root horse sticky mess. Well, quite a lot is still coming out to the limelight, and I can tell you that we are closely following. And also still against the tide, outliers who have refused to ride the popularity wave. We're seeing quite a number of pictures over there, so make sure you grab yourself copy of the Daily Nation this morning. The poll question, once again, what do you remember about the Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Oulanyah? And coming in from you, Ruben Mpima, you're saying Jacob Oulanyah, well, he was an honest and straight legislator. He was a man of his word, and the entire nation will miss him. Rest in peace, Right Honorable. And from you, Muwoya Moses Kimanai, you're saying the following quote by late Jacob Oulanyah, the then Speaker of Uganda Parliament, inspires me. He said, I like to live a full life. I like to eat well. I like to just be normal. If today I feel like doing boxing, I want to do that. He knew there was time for everything. May his soul rest in peace. And Stickman, you're saying he loved working for the people. Omuntu Wawansi. Wow. And from you, Moya Moses, you again say, I also remember him for the following quote. I like to be a free person. This is the only life I have. I don't know about the other one because nobody has reported to me in a very conclusive way about what happens after. So this is the one I have and the one I know. Wow, this is really, really interesting. Keep the feedback coming in. Definitely we'll be sharing it with the rest of the world. And MK2026, you're saying he was a good biker, a man of integrity. And Anna K. Mary, you're saying he was exemplary. Very, very interesting. Keep the feedback definitely coming in, where we'll be sharing it with the world. But also now getting to the road, the traffic situation. What is it like on this Tuesday morning? And the focus is going to be definitely granted to Kampala Central Division, especially the shortcuts that could definitely get you to the city center. What are some of these routes that you could ideally use to make sure that you beat the traffic? Now, the screen over here clearly portrays quite a number of orange lines which show a traffic buildup in several of these areas, but also the screen is dominated by quite a number of green lines, which shows you that the routes, most of these routes are actually clear for you to use. But also where some spots we also see quite some red toppling over these areas, clearly portraying that there's quite a traffic buildup or an intense traffic situation. So I would want to say that these are the kinds of spots you definitely want to avoid. Now, if you are headed to City Square, Kampala, and you really want to make sure you get there in time, you have quite a number of alternative routes you could use. We have Lumumba Avenue over there, which clearly shows you that there is a very free way for you to use. The green stretch shows you that it is actually a good option for you to use. There is no traffic, there is nothing for you to worry about. And of course, when you continue all the way, you'll find yourself to on this main road, which is Kampala Road. But also Bomba Road is an option for you if you're leaving or if you're coming from areas like Wandegea, trying to join Kampala Road. It's also an option for you. As you can see over here, the green stretch or the green lines clearly state that this is a good idea for you, or a good ideal route for you to use, because there is no traffic. Of course, a few orange spots like over here clearly show that there is quite some traffic buildup, meaning that there is a number of motorists over here. Could be border borders, could be cars, it could be private cars rather, or public means of transport, the taxis and whatnot. But it shouldn't worry you, because at the end of the day, you'll still connect to Kampala Road. And City Square over here, of course, there is a junction which well, as you can see, there's quite an orange spot over here, which is there is a traffic buildup. But we also have Chagwe Road still that connects you to Kampala Road, and the green stretch is quite clearly demarcated. So there is nothing for you to really worry about. The traffic is manageable. Now, if you're leaving the city center, you have an option of using Buganda Road. Buganda Road, well, it's a one-way, and we clearly know that. So you can use that to leave the city center. There is no traffic. However, just quite some traffic buildup, but as you go on, the green stretch is over there and it's quite long, so it shouldn't be a big problem for you, especially if you're trying to leave the city center. Now, all you need to know is that all these roads, all these shortcuts definitely all these roads will definitely lead you to Kampala Road, which is the main road. However, if we are also looking at the side of Yusuf Lule Road, if you're also going to use the John Babiha Road, that is of course if you're connecting from the Chira Road, well, the situation over there is a bit different. I can't say the story is the same, especially if you're using the other way. Now, coming in from Yusuf Lule Road, over here you see there is quite an orange stretch. Now, it's morning, there is a traffic buildup. I clearly tell you that every single morning we have quite a number of people who use this route. Now, people coming in from Montinda, people coming in from Mawanda Road, people coming in from Nalia usually use this road, and that probably explains why the traffic buildup is quite intense on this road. Now, Yusuf Lule Road also, we have people who connect from the Mulago roundabout to use Yusuf Lule Road to make sure that they connect to Kampala city center, and that clearly explains why the traffic is a bit heavy over here. But there are other detours that you could actually decide to use as opposed to connecting all the way to Kampala Ginger. Of course, that is if you're using Yusuf Lule Road. You could take a detour of Shimoni Road over here. Shimoni Road, there's a bit of traffic buildup, which is clearly portrayed by this orange spot. Every day I actually remind you that when you see these orange lines, it tells you that there is quite some traffic buildup, so it is manageable, or if you have plan B, that would be the ideal route for you to actually take on. So Shimoni Road still takes you. We also have Kagera Road, which is also another option, and we see the green lines dominating, and that's a very good option. We also have about Chagwe Road over there. Of course, there is a red stretch there, clearly showing that there is quite some traffic, so maybe you could decide to leave that route and go for the routes that are really less heavy, that are not heavy with traffic. Now also you could decide to use the Nile Avenue that is right off the Crested Towers. Now, as you can see, this green stretch shows you that it's a very good option. So if you're trying to get to the city center, definitely that would be the ideal option for you to take on this morning. Well, like we did promise you earlier on Good Morning Uganda, of course, we are still mourning the death of the late Jacob Oulanyah, the Speaker of Parliament of Uganda. And earlier on, we did tell you that we are going to be joined by Honorable Anthony Akol, who was going to still take us more in depth about the life of the fallen soldier. And of course, we also have Robert Kirabo. Robert, good morning once again.
Good morning, Philo, and of course, fellow Ugandans. We're at a time of mourning. This morning, we are very honored and humbled to be happy. That is the leader or the chairman of the Acholi Parliamentary Group. This means this is the body that brings together all members of parliament from Acholi sub-region, and of course the late Speaker Oulanyah was a member because he